Before we get into today's episode, I just want to take a quick moment because I like to take a moment. I just want to honor you guys. I want to honor you for being here, for showing up for yourself, for not giving up on yourself even when it's hard. I know life is not always easy, but here you are trying again and getting back up every time you get knocked down, and I applaud you for that. Okay, on that note, let's get into the episode. Welcome to another episode of Chozen The Podcast. I'm your host, Made, and I'm so happy to be here. This is the moment in my week where I get to do something I really enjoy, and the last couple of weeks have been pretty challenging for me, so any chance I get to do something that brings me joy is very much welcomed and needed right now. So thank you for being here. And yeah, today we're going to talk about choices and the power behind our choices and behind our thoughts, because I feel like they sort of go hand in hand. And if you think of your life is basically just a culmination of all the choices you've made along the way. So choosing wisely is a crucial. And also the podcast is called Chozen because it's all about choosing ourselves in all these areas of our lives. And what that means is basically just making the right choices that align us with the highest version we're trying to become. So again, choosing wisely is very important. Before we do that, let's touch base on last week's episode and last week's assignment. If you've had a chance to see the episode or listen to it, you'll know that it was about grief and turning grief into your superpower. And the assignment was to do a proper grieving ceremony if there is someone or something in your life, an event, a situation, a person, a pet that you've never fully taken the time to grieve properly. I suggested you guys do a proper ceremony because it can be so healing. My God, I did that for my friend who passed, and man, it was the most helpful and beneficial thing I did. Honestly, it really helped me. I've allowed grief to be my teacher in the last couple of weeks, and man, I have learned so much about life, about death, about myself, about transitions, about cycles. It's been a really interesting journey, and as crazy as it sounds, I'm grateful for what I've been learning, even though it came through a pretty tragic situation. So if you have yet to do a proper grieving ceremony for something that has left your life or someone, I really suggest you do that. And now, let's get into today's topic, choices. Because man, choices are everything. We have this life and we're given a lot of power, and I think a lot of us don't realize how much power we have. Let me start this off by asking you a question. Do you believe you get to create your reality, or do you believe that it's already pre-written, pre-decided for you, and you sort of just go with the flow of what's presented to you? Which one do you believe? I hope your answer is that you are the creator of your own journey, because you are. Listen, having the ability to make choices is the biggest superpower we have as human beings. Do not take that power for granted. This is literally your magic wand at your fingertip that you get to say like, oh, I'm gonna choose this, boop, and it appears. Oh, I'm gonna choose this, boop, and it appears. Not quite easy like that, but kind of. Think about it. I recently listened to an episode of the School of Greatness, Lewis Howes podcast, and the guest was Dr. Doty. And Dr. Doty said something along the lines of, the universe doesn't give a fuck about you. And I was like, what? Excuse me, sir. I believe the universe cares about me very much so. And then he proceeded to explain what he meant. And I was like, right, yes. That makes a lot of sense. And what he meant was that the universe doesn't have favorites. The universe doesn't discriminate. The universe doesn't go like, you know what? I don't like this guy. I'm going to make it very hard for him. You know what? This girl, no, not so much. She's going to have a miserable life. Ooh, that girl though, she's great. I'm gonna give her everything. And that guy, hell yeah. Like, I'm gonna make it really easy for this one. It doesn't work that way. We have the power as adults to choose. And it's crazy because a lot of us don't want to adult. We're like, ooh, adulting, what is that? I don't want to do that. But why? The thing we liked about being kids is because we didn't have responsibilities, right? We were carefree and we could just play and not care, and all the decisions were made for us. And then we get to adulthood and we're like, damn, I have all of these responsibilities and now I have to make decisions. But isn't that fun? This is another type of game. You have to realize that life right now as an adult is also a game. It's a very different type of game, but it is a game. And the game is you have all these different things you get to choose from, and you just have to pick and choose what you want. You're basically creating your own experience of this life by the choices you make, and the universe is here to listen to you and go, all right, cool. This is what you want. All right, I'm going to give it to you. And when I say choosing, yes, I'm talking about your actions, the things you do, right? Choosing that wisely. But most importantly, choosing your thoughts wisely. This is where it starts. It starts in the mind. It starts in your energy. So this is what the universe is listening to. So if you constantly in your mind are thinking things like, I can't have that. This is not for me. I'm not good enough for this. Oh, I'll never have that. Good things don't happen to people like me. Oh, of course, this didn't go my way again. Oh, I bet I'll stay single forever. All men are this or all women are that. Guess what? The universe is listening to you. This is the game. And you're not understanding the rules if you're thinking like that. Because it's really easy when you understand. It's so easy. You go, oh shit, I just have to fix the way I think. I just have to choose my thoughts wisely and carefully and choose thoughts that work in my advantage. Because then the universe is going to be like, oh, okay, cool. Like, no matter what you say, it doesn't matter if it's positive, if it's negative. The universe will listen and act accordingly. So give the proper commands to the universe. Choose your thoughts carefully. Choose thoughts that align you with the version you're trying to become. If you're trying to become happy, healthy, in a loving relationship with a lot of money and abundant, don't think 24/7 thoughts like, well, of course I won't have that. Like, of course so-and-so got it and not me. Who can afford this kind of houses? This is too much money. Like, oh my God, the gas prices are crazy. Who can afford that? If you keep thinking these kinds of thoughts 24/7, then you're just playing against your own self the whole time. And then you're blaming the universe for it. You're blaming everything else but yourself. How many times have you thought things like, yeah, the government this, or like the prices of everything, inflation, it's inflation's fault, or, oh, I didn't get this, I bet it's because of my race, I bet it's because of my gender, it's probably because of my social status, I must not have enough social media followers, blah, 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 right? Like we always look outwards for reasons why we don't succeed or why we don't get the things that we want. God knows I've done this a million times. I have done this so often in my life. Listen, I've told you in some of the other episodes that I've been pursuing a career in acting, right? And in the world of acting, the amount of times you get no's is insane. So the amount of times where I've blamed external factors for why I didn't get certain jobs. Oh, it's probably because I'm Latina and they probably went another way. Oh, it's probably because I'm too short. Oh, it's got to be my accent. They didn't like my accent. Anything and everything, right? We always blame outwards. It's so easy to do that. It's time to flip the script and go, no, I am taking responsibility for my own life. This is my life. I make the calls. I make the choices. And as hard as it is to take responsibility for everything in your life, it's also extremely empowering. Think about it. Now you have all the power. So you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, sometimes playing victim feels easy because then we can just like not do anything and let things happen around us and just blame the world for it and keep crying and keep being like, but like you see, it's everything else's fault. I'm just the victim of my own circumstances. Okay, let me give you another example. When I was a teenager, I got into some trouble. I did some bad things and I had a probation and a probation officer. And I had to meet with this man every week for, I don't remember how many weeks, but a few weeks, maybe 8 weeks or something like that. And I saw this guy as my therapist, okay? So I thought he was on my side. And I was telling him everything and pouring my heart into all of our conversations and telling him how hard my life was and how miserable things were at home and how my adoption had created all this, these struggles, these inner struggles. And that's why I was acting out and that's why I was rebellious and all of that. And part of it was true, yeah, sure. But the point is, this man had to write a report at the end of our weeks together that was going to be presented to the judge. And when I read the report, I was like, holy shit, this guy hates me. Like, I thought he was on my side the whole time. And when I read everything, I was like, this person does not like me. But one of the things he wrote was, he said something like, she believes she's a victim of her own circumstances. There's a lot of like, woe is me attitude there. And I was so offended. I was like, oh my God, how dare you? But a few years later, I found this report again and I read it as an adult and I was like, I can see where in my life I've been blaming my own circumstances for the choices I'm currently making in my life. Yes, my life was hard. Yes, my upbringing was hard. Yes, all of these things were outside of my control. I didn't decide to be adopted. I didn't decide to grow up in a chaotic household. I didn't decide to be abused as a kid, right? But what is in my control is how I move going forward, is the choices I make from this point on. Do I let these circumstances define me and be a victim? Or do I use these circumstances to empower me? Do I take my power back and make new choices that align me with the person I'm trying to become? Right? Because it's all about choices. So what? I'm going to look at my probation officer and go, sir, I broke the law because I was adopted and it's been really hard. No, that's what I did back then. But no, looking back now, I'm like, oh, I see what he meant. Yeah, that makes no sense at all. I broke the law because I chose to break the law. This was my choice, period. Like, I can blame the whole world for everything that happened to me, or I can take responsibility. And taking responsibility is hard, but it's so much better. I'm like, oh my God, it's that simple. I just have to take ownership and responsibility for the things that happen to me and choose accordingly depending on the life I'm trying to create. And of course, I know some of the things we go through, we don't choose. We don't choose when a child gets sick. We don't choose to get into a car accident, although sometimes that can be our fault. But you know what I mean, right? But still, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter what events you go through, you have the power to choose how you react. You have the power to decide how you're going to let that event define you, positively or negatively. You have the power to decide how you behave moving forward. And this is when you have to remember the rules of the game. The game is you think thoughts that then move you into action, and the universe just listens to whatever it is you're saying and doing and acts accordingly and gives you what you've requested. So if your request, if the things you keep thinking, the thoughts you keep thinking in your mind are along the lines of, I'm a victim, things will never go my way, of course I failed again, then guess what? This is what is going to keep happening. You're always going to remain in the victim seat if you keep thinking like that. You have to remember, things don't change unless you do. And this is where it gets challenging because for a lot of us, we're on autopilot in our minds, right? Like, this is very much a pattern. It happens on a subconscious level that we're not even aware of. I know for me, for the longest time, I would have thoughts of like a victim mentality, but I didn't even realize it. If you would have asked me, do you have a victim mentality? I would have been like, hell no. I know I'm in control. I know I create my reality. I'm not a victim. But my patterns, my inner thoughts were programmed in a way that my whole life I felt like I was a victim. So this is what my programming was. And once I understood that, I was like, oh, hell no. Because I'm not interested in playing a game in which I'm going to lose every single time. Like, that's not fun. I was like, nah, bro, I want to win. So what do I got to do to win? What are the rules of this game? Oh, choose better thoughts, choose positive thoughts, choose thoughts that work to my own advantage. That's it. Hell yes, sign me up. Like, this is a game I want to play because I make the calls. Everything is up to me. So this is what I want you guys to do. I want you to look at your life, look at your thoughts, just observe your thoughts on a daily basis to see where it is in your life that you have a woe is me mentality, a victim mentality, where you're blaming outside circumstances for what's happening to you. Like, another example where I did that was in my relationships. Especially my last one. My last relationship was extremely toxic, and it lasted on and off for about 3 years. And of course, I blamed my ex-partner for a lot of what happened in the relationship. I was like, it was his fault. He did this and he did that and da 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 da. But also, guess what? I chose to stay. I chose to forgive him way too many times. Like, this was my own choosing, right? So I can keep pointing the finger outwards, but how does this advance me? How does this make me a better person? How does this align me with the version I'm trying to create? How does blaming the world for everything that happens to me help me in any way? It doesn't. It really doesn't help you to be doing this. So you have to think about that like really hard and where you can start taking responsibility. So this is going to be your assignment this week. I want you to start observing your thoughts. That's it. Plain, simple awareness. No judgment, no criticizing. Just start paying attention to what is going on in your mind. What is your inner dialogue? What are the commands you're giving the universe? Are they positive or negative? Because like we said, a lot of it is old programming, it's patterns. We don't even realize we're doing it. But the first thing to be able to choose differently and give new commands is to be aware of what is going on right now. What are your inner thoughts? What are your thought patterns? So start by observing. That's like literally that's it. If you want to keep a journal, that can be helpful because what you ultimately want to be able to do is to catch the negative thought when it comes and give it a new command. Like, catch it, put a stop to it, say no, cancel, cancel, cancel. Here's the new command. I am the shit. I am enough. I can do everything I want. Like, I am amazing. I got this. I will succeed. Whatever, however you want to reframe it, that's up to you. But the first thing is truly to just be aware because you can't change something you're not aware of. And don't be hard on yourself or don't be like down on yourself if you realize you do this a lot. You have to see it as a gift. It truly is a gift to have the power of choice. We are not bind to anything. We get to choose. Because like we said, it all starts in the mind. And no one has control over that. No one gets to decide what is going on in your mind. No one gets to decide what kind of thoughts you're thinking. This is your little secret garden, your secret room. So make sure that what is going on in there is positive. Make sure that it benefits you, that it serves you. So this is why this is part 1 of the assignment. And yes, I'm saying part 1 because there is a part 2. And part 2 is this. I want you to start observing the choices you are making in your day-to-day life. You know, the small choices we're making every single day, these have a huge impact on everything in our life. Our well-being, our mental and physical health, our level of happiness. Yes, choices start in the mind with the thoughts we think, but then they are followed by actions. They are followed by the choices we make on a daily basis. So are these choices supporting the person you want to become? Are these choices aligned with the life you want to create? Are you choosing the right foods for your body? Are you making the right decisions for your health? Are you choosing your relationships carefully? Who are the people that you keep around you? All of these have such a big impact. This is why I'm so passionate about this because we have to understand how powerful choices are. The choices we make will make or break us. Literally, I have seen people ruin their entire lives because of the choices they made. But here's the thing, as long as you're breathing, as long as you're alive, you can choose again. You can choose differently. You can realign yourself. Like, you have that opportunity to make different choices. You have to understand that you are one choice away from becoming the person you want to become. The only thing that's standing in your way is the choices you are currently making. So what are you going to choose? This is how I'm going to wrap up today's episode. I hope this was helpful, or you found some motivation or inspiration to start making new choices in your life. And for this week, don't be too hard on yourself. Just start observing. Just start the awareness process. So thank you so much for being here. I am very honored and grateful to be part of your journey. And I will see you guys next week for another episode of Chozen the Podcast. Mwah.